Well, okay, Conrad, Lucy, Caleb, are y'all ready for the conclusion to the startling saga of the Silver Surfer? Well, I am, so let's go. Here we see the tableau that we saw at the conclusion of our last episode. Galactus is building his machine that will suck out the life force of the entire planet. Uh, we see Sue and Reed and Ben protected by Sue's invisible force field. But look, here comes the Silver Surfer. Alicia Masters has awakened in him a conscience and awareness of the life on planet Earth. And so he has decided to take a hand in the defense of Earth against the power of Galactus. The awesome Galactus has chosen Earth to provide him with the energy he needs to sustain himself. But in stripping a planet of its energy, Galactus also drains away all life from the helpless world. For ages, the mighty alien has thus plundered the planets. But now, his once loyal herald, the glistening Silver Surfer, has turned against him, and one of the most mind-staggering battles of all time is about to begin, with Marvelites everywhere privileged to bear witness to the wonder of it all. Silver Surfer, gliding about on his surfboard, says, "Master, for the first time I realize the dreadful enormity of what you plan to do. You must not tamper with other worlds. You cannot destroy the entire human race." Galactus replies, "Would you hesitate to tread upon an anthill? These creatures are of no consequence to Galactus." And within the invisible force field created by Sue Richards, the incredulous Fantastic Four, or at least three of them, observe the proceedings, their startled minds almost unable to comprehend the unmentionable fate which seems to await humanity. Thing says, "The little guy is trying to talk Galactus into laying off, but he ain't got a chance." Reed says, "Let's pray that he is more powerful than he seems, Ben, for the sake of us all." And then Sue adds, "If only the Watcher could do something, but even he seems unable or unwilling to defy Galactus." And the Surfer continues, "These are not ants, Master. They think, they feel. They have even created the primitive civilization, which we see all about us." "Enough, Gleaming One," retorts Galactus. "My patience wears thin. I reject your plea. Now leave me." "No," defies the Silver Surfer. "At last I have found something worth fighting for. Remember, Master, even you have never witnessed the full extent of my own power." "You?" uh, questions Galactus. "You challenge me? Have you forgotten? I am the power. I am Galactus. But I too am a creature of the cosmos. I too can unleash forces which, once released, can never again be controlled. I beg you, Master, leave this paltry planet. Do not compel me to battle the one I have served so faithfully." You do not reply. "Then no choice is left me. Let the battle begin." And the Silver Surfer moves in on his cosmic surfboard. He's shooting off powerful cosmic bolts from his hands. Galactus falls back in dismay. "Energy bolts directed at me. It is unthinkable. You, who have spanned the galaxies with me, felt the winds of space caress your brow in my service. You have chosen to betray me now. Betray you? Never, replies the surfer, but in truth I should betray myself if I did not fight to prevent the annihilation of a people. For here on this lonely little world I have found what men call conscience. Master, say we may leave this world. My heart grieves at battling one with whom I shared a universe. And he travels about Galactus, surrounding him with cosmic energy. He chooses not to reply, thinks the surfer. Then let my cocoon of ethereal energy harden about him. And look, it begins to crystallize around the gigantic form of Galactus. I cannot bring myself to cause him injury. I seek only to place him in restraint. And the cocoon hardens into an even thicker shell, giving off energy in waves of power. The cocoon has solidified, thus it shall serve as prison for him who had been my master. As the silent seconds tick by, a dazed Susan Storm slowly releases her protective force field until she says, "Reed, what is it? What has happened to Galactus?" He replies, "If it didn't seem too mad for belief, I'd say the Silver Surfer has encased him in a shell composed of pure energy." The thing says, "It's a lot more than that overrated Watcher bothered to do. Let's see if this stuff is as strong as it looks. I ain't never felt a hunk of energy before." "Ben, don't," says Reed. "You know nothing about it. Relax, Stretcho. What's there to know?" "I bet there's plenty to know and plenty to find out." Yeah! Zap! Well, he found out. Sometime y'all need to ask Uncle Truett about touching the hot element of a stove. That's just exactly what the thing did. He touched something just to find out what it feels like. Yeah! He found out all right. "I tried to warn you, Ben," says Reed. "Did you think something which wasn't charged with a repellent force could hold Galactus? Big deal. Next time, warn me harder, mister." "Look," says Sue, "something's happening to the energy shell." "Back away," warns Reed. "Quick, it's beginning to shatter." Whoom! It wasn't strong enough to contain Galactus. He's breaking free. Thing says, "We needed you to tell us that? Yeah, even I could figure that out." "But," says Sue, "if the Silver Surfer is powerless against him, then what chance do we have?" "Where is my herald?" cries Galactus. "Here, Galactus, but I am herald no longer," replies the surfer. "You must be driven from this world. You must, no matter what the cost." And here comes the cosmic surfer, shooting off his power bolts. Galactus replies, "The cost, imprudent one, can only be your life." But Galactus is not vengeful. "You have served me well in the past. You shall do so again. All eternity awaits me. I can afford to be patient. See, can you not see how easily my impenetrable Absorba shield deflects your foolish rays of star fire? And now, rebellious one, it is time I teach you the folly of daring to question the will of your master." And he shoots off a blast of his own. The surfer thinks, blasts of solar destructogen, but surely he knows how easily I can avoid them. And look how the surfer glides around, avoids these powerful bolts. I am aware of your skill, Harold. I have seen you dodge the meteor swarms of space. I have taken pride at the manner in which you have hurdled the comets, but now you face a far greater obstacle. Now you face Galactus. And he shoots off power bolts from all 5 of his fingers. Swear allegiance to me once more, Harold. I have no cause to wish you harm. But the surfer responds, and yet you would obliterate the entire planet with no trace of misgiving. Galactus is hurt. He says, you speak of me as though I am a monster. Do not the humans themselves slay the lesser beasts for food, for sustenance? Galactus does no less. And here comes the Watcher again. How can the Silver One convince his master? Galactus is not evil. He is above good or evil. He does what he must, for he is Galactus. Ben says, this is a blast. Just when we need all the help we can get, Baldy decides to turn philosopher. Baldy? That sounds like an insult. Don't insult a bald person. But the bald one says, you speak too quickly, mortal. One must understand a problem before one may combat it. What about the Human Torch? Asks Reed. Where have you sent him? And that's a really good question. Haven't you been wondering, where is the torch? Let's see if we're about to find out. He has gone to a world so unspeakably distant that it beggars description, for only there can he find the one weapon which may put Galactus to rout. I knew it, said Reed. I knew you'd never fail us, but what can we do till he returns? Emulate the Watcher, stand and observe. Try to fathom the cataclysmic forces which have been unleashed, for you shall never see their like again. As for me, I do not stand silent, motionless, due to lack of concern. Long have I cherished the stumbling, bumbling, but always aspiring human race. Yea, even as I utter these words, I am in mental contact with the Human Torch. I am guiding him through a maze of endless galaxies, protecting him from the ravages of infinite space. And there he is. There we see the Human Torch flying through the galaxy in an unnamed segment of the unknown void. A flaming figure completes the most incredible journey of all time. And he thinks, the Watcher has done it. I'm heading for Earth again. I can feel it. Even as the Watcher stands peering into the heavens, the Human Torch is unerringly led through a pathway to subspace, the only entrance back to his own universe. And look, he disappears into this portal, into the unknown beyond. Past hazards which humans cannot even suspect, the fiery teenager zooms on, barely skirting the insidious, writhing bands of unlife, bands whose very touch can erase a planet. And look how he evades the touch of these white bands that could destroy him. Then finally, as the last deadly obstacle has been passed, the valiant youth re-enters his own time continuum. Reed, Ben, Sue, he cries, where are you? It's Johnny, I'm back. They don't hear me. I'm still on some different plane, but I'm getting closer. He reaches out. Closer, I can almost sense them now. The mists are clearing. And sure enough, he's back on Earth. I'm back. I'm back. The Watcher did it. He guided me to the other side of the universe. He brought me through infinity. Ben looks up. It's the kid. He's okay. Thank heaven, cries Sue. But what did you bring, Johnny? Asks Reed. Where is it? The Watcher looks on. The surfer continues to fly in space, attacking Galactus. So what will happen next? Then the delayed, stunned reaction begins to set in as the teenager suddenly becomes aware of what he has done, what he has seen, where he has been, and he collapses. "Johnny," says Reed, "what's wrong? Answer me, lad." "I traveled through worlds so big, so big. There aren't words." The kid's in shock, realizes Ben. "We're like ants, just ants, ants," says Johnny, overwhelmed by his memories. Reed says, "Easy, Johnny. Try not to remember. This must be what you went for." And he grabs this very small device that Johnny found in the distant home of Galactus. "The boy shall be all right," comforts the watcher. "The memory soon shall fade. The human brain cannot long retain a concept of such indescribable magnitude." Ben says, "Sheesh." He's the only guy I know who makes Reed sound like a Yancey Streeter. "Is this the weapon we need?" asks Reed as he holds up this very small instrument. "Yes," answers the watcher, "only that contains the proper alien element." And Sue puts her arms around her brother. "It's all right now, Johnny. You're back where you belong." "Stop," says the watcher. "You must never turn the control lever to full power. It could erase the entire solar system in 1 microsecond. Now heed me as I tell what must be done." And as the watcher explains, the surfer continues his attack upon Galactus. And Galactus says, "Your power is far greater than I suspected, Harold, but it is still as nothing compared to mine. Alas, if you do not soon yield, I shall be forced to slay you, though such is not my wish." "No matter what my fate," answers the surfer, "I face it without qualm, for I have learned from the humans how glorious it can be to have a cause worth dying for." "The humans," remembers Galactus. "Of course, by imperiling them, I shall force you to surrender." Zick, zick, zick. And so Galactus begins to turn his power against the very humans that the surfer is trying to protect. He says, "Never! Whatever damage you do, I shall undo. Only your departure will make me end the battle." "I can tarry no longer. Galactus yields to none. Upon your own head shall be your fate. I regret what I must do, for of all who live, I have cherished you the most. But now, by my hand, the Silver Surfer must perish." Oh no, what will happen next? Enter Mr. Fantastic with the very small but very powerful weapon. He says, "No, Galactus, it is you who will perish, for we have found the weapon at last." And Galactus gasps, "The ultimate nullifier in the hands of a human." So that's what this small weapon is. It's the ultimate nullifier. What does it do? It nullifies ultimately. "In the name of the eternal cosmos, put it down. Your feeble mind cannot begin to comprehend its power. You hold the means to destroy a galaxy, to lay waste to a universe." And should the universe crumble, answers Reed, can Galactus survive? And so the threat to the galaxy is a threat to Galactus. And so Galactus pauses. He turns to the watcher. "You did this. Only you had the power. Only you had the will. You have given a match to a child who lives in a tinderbox." "Agreed," answers the watcher. "This world belongs to these children. Is my action not just?" Consider the courage they display. Though they are still in their infancy, you must not disdain them. Did not your race and mine evolve from such humble beginnings? Do they not possess the seed of grandeur within their frail human frames? But what of Galactus? What of the limitless energy I must absorb if I am to survive? The Watcher answers, there are other planets. We both know full well that the universe is endless. Destroying a race cannot be the answer. I grow weary, says the Watcher. Says Galactus. The prize is not worth the battle. Let the human surrender his weapon, and I shall tarry here no longer. Do as he says, mortal, instructs the Watcher. The promise of Galactus is living truth itself. His word can never be questioned. And so, into Galactus's outreached palm, Mr. Fantastic places the ultimate nullifier. So, for the first time since the dawn of memory, says Galactus, my will has been thwarted. But I bear no malice. Emotion is for lesser beings. Yet there is one thing that must be done. And here comes the surfer in the background. And Galactus turns his attention to his former herald. Since you shall be herald to Galactus no longer, I remove your space-time powers. Henceforth, the Silver Surfer shall roam the galaxies no more. Oh, what a punishment. So now the Silver Surfer retains his cosmic powers, but not the ability to soar through space. What a punishment for him. With those words, the towering figure of Galactus is transformed into a living, raging fury of pure power, as the very atoms in the air seem to crackle in elemental disarray. Crackle, crackle, crackle. The game is ended. The prize has eluded me, and at last I perceive the glint of glory within the race of man. Be ever worthy of that glory, humans. Be ever mindful of your promise of greatness, for it shall one day lift you beyond the stars or bury you within the ruins of war. The choice is yours. And there he is in all of his great power, the atomic energy crackling around him. Now turn away, warns Galactus, for I shall depart via dimensional displacement, harnessing forces beyond the limits of your comprehension. Reed says he's beginning to glow, to vibrate like some ethereal titan. Get back, all of you. This sight was never meant for human eyes. And Thing says, can't you ever get struck speechless like the rest of us? And of course, no. Reed has to make speeches, and Ben has to complain. Whoosh! And he's gone. The great power of Galactus has disappeared and is no longer a threat to humanity, at least not for now. Everything's gone. The Watcher, Galactus, and all his equipment. It's as though it just never happened. Ben says, I got news for you. It happened. It happened. Yeah, and we saw it, didn't we? I wonder if the world will ever know how close it came to an almost incomprehensible fate. Don't worry, says Ben. There'll always be some loudmouth like you to spill the beans. Ben, dear, Ben, says Sue, can't you ever take anything seriously? Know something, lady? If I was to take what just happened serious, I'd probably end up blowing a gasket or something. And Reed picks up Johnny in his arms. We'd better get Johnny to bed. The poor kid's exhausted. Oh, Reed, says Sue, if he hadn't made it to that distant world and back, I shudder to think what might have happened. Say, what happened to that silver-skinned nut who helped to get us into all that trouble? I am here, and here appears Silver Surfer right behind the thing. He says, I am here. If you feel that I am to blame for what has occurred, I am deeply remorseful. What's the matter with you? Says Ben. Don't you know better than to go sneaking up behind a guy? What is really troubling you, my friend? Asks the Silver Surfer. Quit talking so blasted nice, says Ben. Can't you see I'm trying to dislike you? So he's trying to dislike the surfer, but at the same time he realizes that the surfer has turned out to be an ally. And what a great and powerful ally the Silver Surfer can and will be. The surfer continues, I was born to soar, to ride the currents of space, not to be confined within a barren structure. Though the pathways to the stars are now denied me, my place is still in the skies above. Then, without a backward glance, the silver stranger seems to will his amazing surfboard into the air as he mounts it with one prodigious leap. Too long have I tarried. There is a planet to explore, new wonders to discover. Almost faster than the eye can follow, the glistening figure zooms skyward, borne aloft by the free-flowing currents of the wandering winds. And then he says, but someday, when I have traversed all of earth, when the wanderlust is stilled within me, the Silver Surfer shall return. Yes, the Silver Surfer shall return, and there will be new adventures with our cosmic friend and ally, former foe, and who knows, he has the power to turn against humanity or to help humanity. And we'll read more stories about him in the future. But for now, there are lots more stories about the Fantastic Four and the Avengers and the X-Men. And so we have lots of stories to read and to enjoy in the days ahead. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed the saga of the Silver Surfer. It was one of the best ever, and I am glad that I could share it with you. I love you all very much, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.